I'm sure by now at this point, everybody has kind of seen a little bit of the whole Sunny V2 video, which essentially kind of just is his like just sequel to the other video that he made very much a while ago, which is of the whole thing of Dream, you know, revealing his face was like the almost like career-ending move. And now we kind of see this similar thing again with his newest video, that being of that Dream has 12 months in order to be over and basically almost done with his career. Nothing in the video is exactly what's interesting to say at most. There's only one thing I realized got it, because it's kind of nothing new, at least that I have kind of known about it. But for Dream entirely, I think this kind of is a bit of a lesson in what a lot of people, at least, especially for like content creation, I think should try to like avoid in a broad sense. There's a lot of stuff I have very much said in my other video, which gained like only like one view because nobody really cared all that much about it. So, but essentially in that video, I was kind of just going over the whole thing that Dream was kind of like going through, at least throughout his like entirety of like the controversy at the time before he actually ended up responding to it. And kind of since as of now, when he did very much address everything in like a single video, from like everything that he's literally been involved in and like having to argue always constantly online, he was trying to make a promise, or at least a promise of sorts, to was actually get back into actually making content and actually doing something again. And it's been 4 months since then, and he has not done any of that on his actual YouTube channel. In fact, even in his own music stuff, hasn't exactly been that much successful in the grand scheme of things. And I think that's kind of like one of the actual points I think Sunny V2 in this video kind of at least is pointing at, is that is both his music career and like the Minecraft career that he's was trying to have, like both are kind of just failing things, because like with Minecraft for the most part, it's not like it's a dying game for the most part, but more like the whole genre of like trying to play Minecraft to get back to being popular as it is still sort of fading in and out and fading away. There are things that are keeping it afloat, like a lot of the SMPs, like the QSMP, like Hermitcraft, and the sleep deprived multiplayer server.
Announce the sleep deprived multiplayer server is the only Minecraft server with no pedophiles on it. No pedophiles. There's none. There's not.
Those are like keeping the game like alive and such, and like the game's not. It's like far out from dying. It's still a very good like game, because it's a sandbox where you can do anything. But there's only so much content that you can get out of Minecraft before you kind of just like want to move on to different other things. Which is why a lot of like OG Minecrafters very much really just all basically just wanting to be done with the game, or like have other games but on like beside it, so that they don't always have to constantly keep playing the same like block game entirely.
Minecraft has never been or felt more normal, and its lonely, dreamlike surrealism, the feelings evoked by the game's early development, and that were solidified by its soundtrack into an affecting atmosphere, has greatly thinned, which is disappointing, not because it has changed, but because it was unique, and it has been traded for something familiar.
And even with the music thing, it's kind of almost like similar to like the whole thing with like people don't know, where like thinking that they could always get into like wrestling, or at least think of like making diss tracks. And I don't know exactly what type of like mind poison has getting people to believe that like just because you're like that famous and that popular doesn't mean you have like the skills necessary to make a lot of music. Not saying you can't make music, but like there's just some certain things and certain skills out there that like you can't exactly at least understand that you can't do. Like I can't exactly do diss tracks, and I don't want to try and do a diss track. I know it will go bad. I have the self-awareness that I just don't need to do any of that stuff, but most people end up kind of just falling in for it anyways. And with just the whole thing of like music, because it's already kind of oversaturated entirely, and a lot of music kind of feels like a lot more like of an actual joke for the most part. Like his thing in music is not doing good. Like even at like one time in like his own concert, he sang one of like his other like friends, being Wilbur, suit at the time, like way before he got before like his like whole like situation ended up happening. He sang one of his own songs in his like own like performance thing. which was kind of weird because like I'm not actually sure if you're even allowed to almost like do a song of something like that. It feels kind of like a lazy thing to do that you can't even perform most of your own songs, so you have to rely on another guy's song in order to perform in your own concert. I never exactly really had much of a problem with Dream like at all when I very much kind of like heard him. My actual introduction to Dream was actually with him guest starring in kind of a Matt Pat video. And from then on, I kind of didn't exactly, kind of just saw the guy a little bit, like, here and there and everywhere, and then until, like, his fan base was kind of, like, doing something, kind of, like, ravaging and scathing everything all over the internet because if you insult him, that's, like, an insult to, like, God himself. Everything I have at least now learned of, as of, like, now, and very much just going through everything that was of this guy, and just seeing him kind of just, like, dug his kind of, like, own, like, grave for himself. And especially exactly what happened to his, like all of his friend group, because like most of them are either kind of just doing their own thing, or some of them have literally kind of been going through like their own ringer for the most part. And I really just don't think people are going to be paying attention to most of like what the Dream has to do in the near given future. And that's almost just because of like his everything that was very much about him and the just like costing him a lot. And I think there was kind of like multiple things that did cost him that, which is like one, the whole like thing of like the mask. Like I know it's a silly point that like many people are kind of like attributing to it, like with Sunny V2, that like the whole mask thing was kind of like a whole like big thing that like it was the only reason they had for it, which I feel like that's kind of like I feel like Sunny V2 is kind of like really too focused on that point. I feel that's kind of like one of the many parts of Dream that did in the failing, which was that the mask. Now, I'm not saying that like if you are if you're going to unmask yourself as a content creator, you're not going to like immediately fall off. I don't think that's like what Sunny V2 was trying to like imply, but I really much do think that like him kind of having like the kind of having only a year of like him being like very much like having no face and just having the mask on really added to a lot of attention, because a lot of people want to stick around for somebody that has most not revealed their face in almost a long time. And I feel like Dream kind of like capitalized on that sort of thing, because like he very much knew very much well that how a lot of people in his fan base were very much obsessed with him. Like he very much took a lot of like the parasocial like fans, and they very much turned it out and made a bunch of money out of it. And as soon as he kind of did very much wanted to like be a lot more social, because that's like kind of like the point why he wanted to like remove the mask entirely, it ended up doing him no well, because a lot of people very like you couldn't underhype his face reveal, but it was by far the most overhyped face reveal ever, and it was basically just a regular guy that you would end up seeing kind of just anywhere out on like the streets. It did remove a lot of like the actual like intrigueness that was of Dream. And while I'm not saying that like this is like the case for like almost every person out there that does like want a face reveal or as like a maskless creator, I think it's just more like that. The difference is that most like faceless creators that think like like the Do, H2O Delirious, and like How to Basic, they still manage to do and make their content very much whatever they very much so choose. Is that most of them don't exactly make the whole big deal of like making it that like they're like if like who's behind like the creator, who like what's their face look like that's not the selling point of their content. They just make their own content. Meanwhile Dream, he knew about this, he knew he was a faceless creator, and he capitalized on that stuff entirely. Another thing I think also that ended up contributing a lot to him is his basically like just like wanting to appease to his own fan base and just to appease the good graces of like other popular like internet e-celebs. I know I mentioned this way before in my other video, and I'm not going to try to reiterate, but like the brief summary of it is that he very much is so incentivized to make sure that he's always in the good graces of like anybody that ends up hating him, or like any negative comment that's going to end up killing him on the inside. I think like when you just needlessly like obsess over people who very much like don't like you and having the need to actually make somebody like you into that much more, it's not going to work. Your event, like, we can't just live in a world like some people just don't like somebody else, and that's just how it is. Like, I have a bunch of people that probably don't like me, and there are some people that also do like me. I'm not gonna, like, needlessly obsess over, like, who likes me and who has, like, a negative comment, because that's essentially what you're just be feeding into, like, trolls and other people that are just going to relentlessly hate you, no matter how many, like, things you're going to be doing for them, whether it be positive or just outright negative. It didn't help either that he would end up having to, like, write walls amounts of text to essentially, explain his kind of whole, like, thinking, and to clarify for a lot of stuff that ended up didn't working out, because, like, he never addressed his other controversies, which is, like, that's another point I'll get into, like, a little bit. But it just did not help that, like, he would end up having to easily make sure that, like, things are okay and be public out on Twitter, and have, like, multiple accounts of himself, like, going to, like, say these things, say these that things, and end up getting leaked out from him. Like, I don't know what's the benefit of having, like, multiple private accounts if they're just going to be leaked out there. Like, the guy is so was like uneasily obsessed with Twitter that I'm kind of glad that he just gave his password and everything else to his manager and everything else. Like, the last thing I think very much ended up kind of hindering Dream a lot was the whole thing of having to always, like, not exactly, respond much to, like, the controversy. Like, you probably know exactly what I'm trying to talk about. That I think he was trying to pull the strat that most, like, content creators are kind of, like, trying to do now, where they don't exactly, if they end up getting themselves involved in, like, a controversy, they don't exactly do anything to more or less actually say anything at all. They kind of just, like, keep coasting on by, and very much kind of just keep uploading their content and just doing other things, keeping themselves extremely busy, so that they almost have no way to actually, exactly think they're like, oh, I have to address this controversy at all. And the one thing I think Dream also kind of forgot, that, like, he's not exactly consistently uploading on his channel, and that's kind of like a 2-in-1 as well. Because, like, that's also kind of like another big reason as to why he's not uploading a lot. But to pull that to the point of, like, the whole thing of, like, him not exactly avoiding the controversy, I feel like it wouldn't have taken him this long to address a lot of these things and not try to talk with things. Like, I know he already explained it and, like, he's, like, other stuff and exactly the reason as to why. And while I have, like, some few disagreements on that, and how that I still believe that he's not exactly a groomer for the most part, I think he's a full blown, like, idiot that does not know exactly how to socialize on the internet. But, like, I very much understand exactly how this all happened. Still doesn't mean I don't exactly exactly like how he did all this. Like, regardless of your opinions on, like, the music or Minecraft, him not uploading any, like, content whatsoever, it's just entirely just his own fault. This not only contributed to his trying to, like, at least avoid the controversies entirely, because, like, if he wasn't uploading consistently on his content, what the hell was he also, like, doing as well? Like, he was not doing anything, and it kind of ended up costing him a lot of that. So when he tried to pull the strat, it didn't exactly work, because he had, like, almost no content whatsoever. And I feel like that him just picking these two careers of, like, being either a Minecraft YouTuber or a, like, musical artist are not doing him any well. Like, he wants to have both of them at the exact same time. I feel like that's kind of just a thing that has happened to a lot of content creators, where, like, if they're not consistently uploading onto their channel and not doing anything that's, like, making them feel like they are doing something with their content, then they're going to just eventually just kind of fall out of relevancy. A lot of people very much want to look at the content of the person and very much want to know if they actually do want to watch them and see if they are uploading a lot. And Dream doesn't do any of that. He's not doing anything with his music. He's not doing anything within, like, actual YouTube videos. He's not posting much on social media for the most part. And even aside from, like, his, like, little teaser, like, that he would, try to go back to Minecraft, he should have done that very much right after the controversy. Literally, right after he uploaded, he would actually still end up going out of his way to make Manhunt videos and Minecraft videos. It should not taken him this long to keep making, like any of the videos whatsoever. I feel like that's, like it's such a weird, like, thing for him that he has to, that this is, like, the career that he's kind of just dead set on, like, wanting to do, and having both. Like, it's just impossible for him to do. And that's kind of, like, what I wanted to talk about, because, like, I very much view Dream as kind of just, like, an example of a type of creator that I just think is just not exactly good like a good fit for being a content creator because of like he's very much just the example of everything that you should never do when you very much want to become a actual YouTuber. And I very much get the point that like, a lot of his stuff was kind of just like, a lot of his stuff it was like his own doing, and that like I'm was adding like unnecessary hate to him. I don't exactly hate the guy. I more just dislike him for a lot of stuff out there that he very much has done. And given to the fact that like he was like kind of a rising star and blew up like way earlier for like the most part, I think it's kind of just a detriment to anybody that ends up blowing up way too fast for their own good and are not mature enough to very much understand what's going to be happening. And that's kind of really all it is I wanted to actually talk about with Dream for the most part. And yeah, that's really about it is. I'm not sure exactly if he will be relevant. I probably think he will be, but I don't think he'll have like an audience or like any group of people out there that are going to care for him at this point. And yeah, that's really about it. Bye bye.